Welcome everybody to the Sheffield United way, where we are looking back on United's ultimately quite disappointing 3-1 defeat at home to Leeds United on Monday. Now, last week we did an in-depth video on this channel. We went into the detail of how do you beat this Leeds side, and we came close. We came very, very close to seeing it in the flesh on Monday. In this video today, what we're going to do is go through how United effectively nullified Leeds in the first half, and then the tactical changes and the tactical mistakes we made that gave them the upper hand and ultimately saw them snatch all 3 points through 2 late winners right at the death.
Ole, ole, ole. Ole, ole, ole.
Yes, and so what we're going to do is we're going to start with what went right, what United did so well, how United completely nullified Leeds for the best part of an hour in this game. If we start with the first half, and in particular the first 20 minutes, United were absolutely fantastic. Unlike the game at Ellen Road, and unlike what I had said we should do last week, United did not change their shape. We didn't try and counter Leeds, we didn't try and be anything other than Sheffield United. We focused on what we did well, how good we can be with the ball, without the ball, and my God, did we do it well at the start of this game. We set out in that same style, with that same pressure that we used against Middlesbrough. It was 4 at the back. It was Peck bringing that dynamism, that flair, that little bit of oomph coming through central midfield, while 𝗍𝗫 dominated all of those defensive battles. Without Harmer this time, it was Ben Brereton Diaz who was playing on the left wing. But he was asking all the questions of his fullback. He was dropping inside when he needed to. He was trying to get around the outside. He made sure that his fullback was never comfortable, never able to fully settle, and also never able to fully commit to driving himself forward. He was up against Jayden Bogle, as it very much was during the game. That's awful. I apologise to everybody involved. I don't know. Just, it's been a long day. Let me have that one. And so he'd given him a really difficult day. We know that Bogle is at his worst when he's forced to go back towards his own goal defensive, and Diaz did a fantastic job of forcing him to do that, while Campbell at centre-forward just offered United so much running. He was having movement in behind. He was dropping in to pick up the ball, hold it up, lay it off to one of the other 3 attackers. I thought they really brought a lot of energy and a lot of excitement. 𝗚𝗿, for me, is the central cog of how this attacking team works. I think it's really hard to say how much of an impact he has on this team when he plays, and particularly when he plays well. It's his energy. He's just everywhere. He never lets a defender settle. He's constantly pressing, and yeah, he makes a real big difference to this team. However, despite all that, I thought the really key man for United in that first 20 minutes was 𝗍𝗫𝗲 𝗍𝗫. His role just meant that United could completely pin Leeds in and say, no, you cannot get out of your own half, because every time you try, every pass you try and make, I'm going to be the man who gets there and gets first contact. Whether they were trying to get 𝗵𝗏 to drop deep, play it into 𝗵𝗏, 𝗍𝗫, if he wasn't able to get first contact, would be right up behind him. It's a difficult pass. It's always under pressure. If they were trying to go out to the wings, 𝗍𝗫 was across there. If he saw space in behind one of the fullbacks who'd maybe gone forward, he was sitting in to cover the space. I thought he did fantastically. He won every challenge. I thought he was dominant, not just for 20 minutes, but for 90. I thought it was a really excellent performance from 𝗍𝗫𝗍𝗍 𝗍𝗫. In that first 20 minutes, as United had Leeds penned back, we were also, I think, should give massive credit to the crowd. Thought we were brilliant for that opening 20 minutes. I thought it really generated a wave of momentum that was just driving United forward. And with every attack, you could see the pressure on the Leeds defence. I thought that United could maybe even have been more goals ahead after 20 minutes. And I think so much of that came through Campbell and Diaz. The reason I picked them out at the start is that it was their interchange. It was really exciting seeing how those two have linked up, because if they can keep that going, if they can do that for the rest of the season, United really can achieve and be the team that nailed down this second space. 𝗚𝗿 knits it together with his movement, nice little touches, constantly making sure the defenders got nowhere to go. And it means that the reason I focus on 𝗚𝗿's pressing so much is that the way he does is he steps forward to push the centre-half. The centre-half has then not got an easy pass. He's under a little bit of pressure. He's got to try and find somewhere to go. Usually it's back to the keeper, but sometimes they're going to try and play out of that space. Particularly teams like Leeds want to try and play through you to create chances. They want to come either down the wings or through midfield. What 𝗚𝗿's pressing does is it means that he blocks the lane to go down the wing. So he's coming in at an angle so that you can't just play your easy pass out to your fullback. So you've got to go into midfield. But for the midfielder to get the ball, they've got to come back within their own third. They've got to have the facing their own goal. So they've got to try and spin. And if you've got a midfielder who can step forward, like 𝗍𝗍 does so effectively, it just creates a fantastic sort of domino effect through the team. So the centre-half panics, has to play a difficult pass. The then midfielder's got nowhere to go, has to go to the keeper. The keeper's then got to kick it long, where 𝗍𝗍 can mop up and pick up that space around the centre circle. It's a fantastic way of playing. And it really showed how effective it can be when we can do that to Leeds. I maintain they're the best team in this division, and we absolutely dominated them for 20 minutes. Now, despite that dominance, I think a lot of people would say we did struggle to create clear-cut chances. It's not like we were peppering the goal with shots or 𝗤𝗍𝗍's making good saves. Quite the opposite, I think we will find. But that's what United did so well, is that when we weren't creating chances and we weren't just tearing them apart, we made sure that when we got the ball in difficult situations, we always had the same intention. We had a clear plan that we were doing really well. Whether it was a long throw from the left and Robinson was throwing it in, whether it was the corners that were whipped straight on top, everything went right on top of 𝗤𝗍𝗍. We put it right in the middle of his box and we said, right, 𝗚𝗿, come and catch it. Easy this. Every goalkeeper can do it. Walk forward, catch the ball, carry on with your day. And like clockwork, every single time we did it, he dropped it. He never once came out, made a proper claim of the ball. He dropped it every single time. And it was really unlucky that they didn't fall to United. He got away with two where the ball's dropped in the middle of his box and the defenders just hacked it clear. Got away with one where he comes out, misses it. It's headed and blocked on the line and just cleared away. And then, of course, it comes to the goal. Now, the goal's a slightly different situation where we've worked it well down the left. Diaz has cut inside, got himself to the corner of the box, put a lovely ball in for O'Hare to try and flick towards goal. Now, this is the one thing all game I thought 𝗤𝗍𝗍 did quite well. Made a pretty good save. He didn't push it away. He didn't manage to get it out of danger, but he made a pretty good save in a difficult situation. Of course, that leaves Campbell open net at the back post, just going to head it in. It weren't his best. It very much wasn't his best finish, but it didn't matter. It comes out off the post. 𝗤𝗍𝗍's diving across his goal. God knows what he's doing. And he just pushes it into the back of the net. And that gives United a 1-0 lead. And it was very, very well deserved. I thought United were well on top at this point, and we really were pushing them back and getting them under a little bit of panic. Thought it really quietened down the entire away end that we barely heard a peep for the rest of the first half. And it really had shut down that part of the game. Now, after the goal, when United had come firing out of the blocks, the game did change a little bit. And I would say it changed around the moment where 𝗍𝗍𝗍 went down injured. It stopped the game around 22 minutes. Vinny had just gone for the ball. He got knocked down, centre of the park. He was getting a bit of treatment. That took some of the sting, some of the pressure, some of that momentum away from United. And after that, Leeds started gaining a little bit of control. They got control of the ball without doing too much with it, but they were asking United questions. I think in particular, it was all coming down what would be Leeds' left side or United's right. 𝗍𝗍𝗍 was just caught in no man's land. As 𝗍𝗍𝗍 was doing what we talked about earlier, he dropped into the defence to receive the ball back to goal. 𝗍𝗍𝗍 couldn't make his mind up. Do I go and press 𝗍𝗍𝗍 or do I watch Firpo behind? He ended up getting caught in no man's land time and time again, which meant there was a 2-on-1 situation consistently happening down Leeds' left where Firpo and Solomon could just double up on Clark, and they gave him a really torrid afternoon. It was really difficult for him for those 20 minutes, mainly because of how isolated he had become, how difficult he was finding it to take on both of them. However, they did that without carrying a threat. They weren't trying to create chances. They weren't scoring anything really, and United had kept him at arm's length. I think it was the right time for half-time for United so that we could reset and we could look at our plan to stop those attacks coming down the left. But at half-time, I was comfortable. I thought United were 1-0 ahead and good value for it. We knew that Leeds were going to have a spell. We knew they'd come into it. But everybody I spoke to was feeling the same. We're the better team here. We deserve to be leading this game, and we can kick on and really make sure that we win it. The second half, the way it started, I thought was much of the same. I thought the first 15 minutes, United again managed to control the game. We came out full of energy, full of beans yet again, and we locked down both wings. I thought the sub we made, Clark going off, 𝗍𝗍𝗍 coming on, really made a difference. I thought 𝗍𝗍𝗍 absolutely locked down that wing. I think where Solomon and Firpo had all that space, all that time towards the end of the first half, either through 𝗍𝗍𝗍 himself winning his battles, winning his individual one-on-ones, but also clearly 𝗍𝗍𝗍 had been told, get your arse back and cover that fullback. They did a real job on them. They did a massively sort of defensive duty to make sure Leeds weren't having those easy passes, easy way through the same way that we did. And so that right side was locked down. With that in place, we were then winning the battle in midfield. 𝗍𝗍 and 𝗍𝗍𝗍 were fantastic. I thought 𝗍𝗍𝗍, I shout him out every time, so I just love the boy. I think he's absolutely brilliant. And I do think when you think about this, how good is he going to be? Well, the answer to that question could be very, very good indeed, because he's outstanding right now. And he's only got, 25, 30 games under his belt. Imagine what he's going to look like when he's a seasoned professional and he's really ready to take these games by the scruff of the neck. I thought him and 𝗍𝗫 won all of their individual battles up until the hour mark. And unfortunately, the game changed a little bit at the hour mark. Now, before we get into that, and before we go into the negatives, because there are some relatively big negatives coming, I should say this. For an hour, we got everything right. We got the tactics absolutely spot on to control this game against Leeds. Every individual did their job and did it fantastically. So they were winning individual battles and doing everything that was asked for them. We matched the best team in this league. I didn't think we could do that. I did not think United could go out, play the game on our terms at that level against this Leeds team. And we did it for an hour. Now, the challenge is, how do you make that 90 minutes? How do you maintain that intensity, that pressure, that effort for a full 90 minutes? That's what we've got to answer. If we want to be a Premier League team, you've got to sustain it for the full 90, because Leeds can. They're relentless for 90 minutes, whereas we just didn't have it in us to finish the job off here. But that does not take away from how well we did and how great a performance it was from United for 60 minutes. But, alas, let's move into the second stage and the changing of the game, shall we say. And we'll look at this from United's perspective as a what went wrong. Now, for me, this all starts with subs. And the two subs that United did around the hour mark meant that we lost our shape and we gave Leeds a perfect opening to do what they do best and dominate down both wings. Now, the first sub was Tyrese Campbell coming off. I think that was the right move. He was knackered at this stage. He'd run his legs off. He had been causing problems, asking questions, making it really tough for the Leeds defence. His race was just run. The sub that came on was Tom Cannon. And I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. He's come to a new club. He's come in mid-season. This is a huge ask. It's really difficult. And we are not playing to his strengths. We are not writing him off. We're not judging him. He's going to be a fantastic player for Sheffield United. In this game, he ran well. He pressed the two centre-halves. He made sure they were under pressure. He looked a lot more interested, more fit than I've seen him in any other appearance for United so far. I thought he looked stronger in the way that he was trying to push the defenders off the ball, trying to cause them lots of problems. He really wasn't helped by the fact that United's midfield at this point dropped deeper, didn't give him any support, and weren't getting in and around him to make sure that he could hold the ball up and create. However, he didn't hold the ball up at all. He wasn't able to get it under control. He wasn't able to win free kicks. He was going down, but quite easily, and wasn't winning anything to take the pressure off United's defence. And so because we now had no out ball, whenever the ball went forward, it was lost and it came straight back at us. The second sub we did these two at the same time, was 𝗍𝗫 and 𝗍𝗃𝗍 off. And again, I think probably the right decision. In the second half, he'd started doing his defensive duty and was doing it better, but he was really struggling to get involved going forwards, and we hadn't fully got a hold on 𝗍𝗶. We still thought there was a chance that 𝗍𝗃𝗍 could lose some of that positional discipline. So we brought on Gustavo Hamer. And this is hindsight. It's all in hindsight. It's all reflection on a game that's happened, but that was a huge mistake. That just did not work. He wasn't fit. He just did not look like a player who was fit and capable of competing in a game at this level. He also isn't the kind of winger who could counter what Leeds do well. Leeds want the ball as wide as possible to get down the wings. And we had somebody who wants to invert, wants to play in the middle, wants to use the half space between the centre circle and the sort of edge of the pitch. So he's always going to be slightly inside, slightly weak. So as soon as 𝗏𝗏 pulled out, 𝗏𝗏 barely had a touch. He'd not done anything really before this point. All of a sudden, he became really involved in the game. After Hamer's arrival, 𝗏𝗏 had time and space to run forward and get down his wing. Dan James all of a sudden became involved. He was dropping deeper to pick the ball up earlier. He had space to drop into because there was no pressure around him, so he could turn and run at Burrows. It just got so much more space to attack down this right-hand side. So they're the subs that I think really changed the game and tactically massively affected United, because we lost the running and the threat that was coming through the middle, and we lost the width coming down the left, which meant that they got freedom to get down the right, which is where they're at their most dangerous. So what happened and how did that play out in the game? Well, I'm going to try and explain this one through the first goal, which I think sums it up perfectly. So the equaliser is a goal which is effectively made wing to wing. It comes exactly from the changes that United have made and sums up what was different after the subs to what had taken place before. Hamer on the left wing, Diaz had swapped over to being on the right wing. So, screenshot 1, you can see here, Bogle's got the ball over on the right wing with tons of space in front of him. There is space to his right if he wants to commit down the wing. There is space to just run forward and get a 2-on-1 against Harrison Burrows. Harmer is in the centre of the park, in the middle of the centre circle, and isn't able to get across to close down that space. You'll also see on the near side that you've got Ben Brereton Diaz and Junior Firpo. Brereton Diaz is well in advance of him, running back towards his own goal, has that situation under control. We then move to the second phase of this, where Bogle has managed to get forward, got to the edge of the box. He's laid the ball off to Dan James and has now made a run to underlapping around him. So it creates a little bit of space for James to have a one-on-one with Harrison Burrows. And what actually happens here is that Burrows tries to show him inside, gets done on the outside, and it makes it really easy for James to be able to put his cross into the box. You'll see here that during the run, Diaz has checked twice. He's scanned behind him twice. He knows that Firpo's there. He's monitored him and matched him step for step all the way to the edge of the box. We then come to still number 3. The ball's gone in the box, and you might not be able to see it there in terms of the zoom, but Junior Firpo is now 2 steps ahead of Ben Brereton Diaz, heading it unchallenged in the centre of the box. Because what's happened is Diaz has tracked him all the way to the edge of the box, got to the edge of the box, stopped scanning, stopped checking, and allowed Firpo to continue his run unbroken to win that header right in the middle of the pitch. So because we didn't have the width down the left, meant they got freedom to overlap, freedom to create chances, freedom to create a 2-on-1 situation against the fullback. Because of the change we'd made on the right-hand side, it meant that we'd got somebody tracking against a wing-back, but who plays differently to Bogle. Where Bogle would have stayed wide to try and support his winger, Firpo's attacking the box to try and win that free header in the middle to get the goal. Creates that chance, and it sums up how the changes had affected United, because we couldn't get the ball, we didn't have the same cover, and it creates an easy opportunity for Leeds to get the equaliser. Now, the second goal comes off a corner. This time, there's a few different things that go wrong for United in here. Ēnel gets completely physically overpowered in the centre. He was a little bit lucky not to give a penalty away. To be honest, he got hold of him, and if they'd kicked the ball half a second earlier, the ref's 100% giving him a pen, but he doesn't. We managed to get through that situation. The ball comes in. Firpo again this time. This time he dominates 𝗬𝗪, I think it is, in the centre of the box, but he gets his header all wrong. It's not really going anywhere. But Tom Davies isn't covering the space in the centre to make the clearance, and Harmer doesn't mark his man. He lets Tanaka get through and get past him, gives him a really easy header. Now, Tanaka makes a mess of the header. He should just head it in the net. Instead, he goes across goal. Either way, it ends up in the back of the net. It's 2-1, 90th minute, and United have thrown this game away from a position of fantastic strength only 15 minutes before. That's how quick this can change. The third goal's collateral damage. At the end of the day, it's a fantastic goal. Pep loses his header, but we've committed to try and get forward. We've taken our eye off the ball. We've kind of recognised that this game's probably done, and he's smacked a beauty in from 35 yards. That can happen against a team with this quality. That's the way it goes. 3-1, it was harsh, but that's the level United have to aim for. What I've talked about today is that for 60 minutes, we got this spot on. But all we needed to do was get it wrong for 30, and teams at this level, they punish you. We've got to be working towards putting it together for the full 90 minutes. When the subs come on, we need to make sure they're either like for like, or that the tactical plan doesn't change or doesn't break. Because what happened here is the plan broke. Everything we'd done so well, we all of a sudden weren't doing at all. And we were just penned in, unable to get out, and taking wave after wave. And against a team like Leeds, you are going to get hurt doing that. So to move to this next level, I still think 60 minutes playing like that beats 23, 22 teams in the Championship. 21, actually, because I need to count United. So 21 of the other teams in the Championship get beat if we play the way that we just played for 60 minutes. Unquestionably. That will be more than good enough, that performance level, for us to get promoted. Do not be downhearted. Do not think this is all over and it's doom and gloom. It isn't. This was a great performance from us, but to get to that next level, to be competitive in the Premier League, to be at the level that Leeds are currently playing at, we've got to be able to do it for 90 minutes, not 60, 90. And that comes with recruitment, so we've got the right players on the bench, and it comes with a tactical plan that we can stick to and see through. So it's not doom and gloom. It really isn't, and that's the main message here. We did well in this game. We just got undone right at the end. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching this video. we've proved we can play at the level of Leeds. That's what I'm taking away. We proved that we can do it. We've proved we're one of the best 3 teams in this league. It is now a 2-horse race. It is United and it is Burnley. We are chasing for that final automatic promotion spot. It's the final straight. There's 12 games to go, and we are the team that can do this. If we play like we played against Leeds, we are the team that will do this, and we'll be back in the Premier League next season. Thank you so much for watching this video, and as always, up the blades.
𝗚𝗿𝗲𝗷𝗍𝗷𝗍